terrible reactions for me. I would be, having to pay back these Brahmins' lives for millions and millions of lifetimes, coming back over and over. I don't want to do that. And he didn't understand what Krishna was telling him, how he was instructing him perfectly until much later in the conversation. So the mode of passion, in and of itself, is obviously binding to the material world. But when anything is dovetailed in the service of Krishna, there's a term that we created in ISKCON for what happens. The alchemy that takes place when the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, and the mode of goodness is used in Krishna's service. It's Krishnized. Just like the prasad. It's bhoga, it's food that has karma when you eat it. But when you offer it to Krishna, it becomes free of karma, no karma. In fact, it's imbued with spiritual energy. It's imbued with the spiritual effect. So similarly, when you use any mode of nature, you're an artist, you're passionately engaged in painting or in creating music. If you do it on behalf of the Supreme Lord, it becomes spiritual. Because it belongs to Krishna in the first place. You're just taking what belongs to you're not the body. The modes are acting according to the material laws, and you're not the body. But you have jurisdiction over the body. You are it's called the city, the body's called in the scripture the city of 9 gates. We won't count all the gates, but there are 9. Because when you go from top to bottom, it's a little bit depressing. But anyway, so the city of 9 gates, and you're the king. You're the Raj. There's billions, trillions, uncounted numbers of living entities called cells, microbes, bacteria. They're all living inside you. They're what make you, as we consider ourselves. Some are good, some are bad. And you're in charge. How you actually have the ability to decide whether to go exercise or to be a couch potato. That's your decision. It's not God's decision, it's your decision. So we have a minute amount of free will, but what's existing here, what's going on here, is the modes of nature, is the body, is the mind, which is just a brain, which is just a bunch of cells. When you die, you leave. So you don't have that. You don't have that anymore. When you have a subtle mind, you have a subtle body, but you don't have this gross body anymore. So that means that the modes of nature, actually, if you kind of look at it from an impersonal point of view, the modes of nature have nothing to do with you. So if you go murder somebody, you tell the judge, it's not me. It was my body. I didn't do it. That if you take it to the extreme, which is a good way to look at how we're dealing with the body, we really do have nothing to do with this lump of flesh. Other than one thing. It's called, bear with me, senior moment. It's called the Ankara. And I'm not talking about the capital Turkey. It's the Ankara. It's the knot. That means it's a knot. That's what that actually means in Sanskrit. It's like a Gordian knot of your attachment, your enmeshment with your identification with the body and the mind. This is what's really stopping us. So how do you untie a knot that's so complicated and so tied so tightly? How do you do that? So you have to think, okay, I'm not this body, but I think I'm this body. I wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and go, there I am. And it's reinforced when someone says, hey, Nrsimhananda, yes. Everything is here in the material world, reinforcing bodily identification. And the body's got all of these modes of nature working through it. And somehow you get a spark of enlightenment. And you go, wait a minute. This body's been changing all these years. Every 7 years, every cell's changed. But I'm the same person. I recognize myself inside this changing baby to boyhood, to girlhood, middle age, old age, finally to the status of death. I'm the same person. My mother will be 100 in January. By the way, she wants a little white poodle for her birthday. I said, Mom, if you can take it for a walk, I'll get it for you. But unfortunately, she can't. She's acutely aware at that age. She does not want to be that body. Acutely aware. It's not fun. Getting old is not for the, as they say, it's not for the faint of heart. It's no fun getting old. So, unless you're Clint Eastwood. So, who said, by the way, just as an aside, when they asked him, how do you do it, Clint? How do you make movies and produce them and direct them and do all this stuff? And he said, much to the point I'm making, he said, well, when I get up in the morning, I leave the old man in the bed. He distinguishes himself already. I'm not that old man. It's a good exercise. I use it now every day. So, when you utilize the modes of nature in Krishna's service, it Krishnizes the modes of nature. Now, there's some modes of nature that are more favorable for devotional service than others. For example, the mode of ignorance is not very favorable for devotional service. But the mode of passion can be extremely favorable for devotional service. As if you read the Bhagavad Gita, the story of Arjuna's, his confusion and his realizations that are really meant for us to experience, he gets it. He gets, wait a minute, if everything belongs to God, if my body belongs to God, my mind belongs to God, so remember, everything in your body is made up of the food that you ate, or that your mother ate, or today, of course, that you ate. So, what do you own? What did you own? What did you make? Nothing. You own nothing. You got nothing, as they say. So if everything is there, including the way the modes of nature are operating within your body and mind, and you get this brilliant idea that somehow appears out of the universe, it says, you can use that in Krishna's service, and that will become your path of liberation. That very thing that is binding you becomes liberating. That's how we see the modes of nature. Use them, and some are more favorable than others. Even in the mode of goodness, for example, Arjuna was a very good person. He really, really lived in that mode. He could access the mode of passion, but really a Kshatriya lives, his consciousness is always to do good and be kind. So they live very much in the mode of goodness. Sattva gun. And yet, he took that mode and wanted to enjoy it for himself. I just want to go to the forest and be in peace and meditate away from this battlefield. He wanted the sense gratification of the mode of goodness. Now we talk about the three modes here, but there's another status that's called sattva gund. Everyone heard this phrase, sattva gund? And sattva is pure. So it's the mode of pureness. And it's superior to sattva. I'm sorry, I got Suddha Sattva. There's Sattva Gund, and then there's Suddha Sattva. So there's the mode of goodness, and then there's Suddha, pure goodness. So pure goodness exists whenever you use the other modes to serve Krishna. That's Suddha Sattva. And that's transcendental. And that promotes you through consciousness. It nourishes you. It feeds you. It elevates you to a purer state in which you begin to understand, I'm not this body, Krishna is God, the purpose of life is to go home, back to Godhead. There is a state of consciousness that exists beyond all these other gross and subtle states. And it is one of pure love and devotion to the Supreme. And there's activities there. And there are other souls there. And it is where I came from. And it is where I need to return, because this is a deep, dark hole. And I'm at the bottom of this well in the material world. I'm so far at the bottom, I can't even see the top. I don't even know there's a top. It's like a fish. What ocean? I don't see any ocean. Fish is in the ocean. What does he know from water? He doesn't know anything about water. He's just swimming in whatever. This is normal. So similarly, we are so deep in Maya, you don't even realize it 99.9% of the time. How's my hair? Oh my God, I'm losing some hair on me. Yeah, these thoughts are running constantly. Constantly. For all of us. You want to be free. You want to be liberated. But you also want to be in love. Because that's the highest experience of even a material life. Being in love is so cool. I've been in love. It's really great. It is so great. You can't wait to meet your lover. You can't wait to spend time. You can't get close enough. It's fabulous, isn't it? Material experience of love is fabulous. One problem. It ends. Sooner or later it ends. And you're eternal. And you're going, wait a minute. I'm eternal. This is ending. And it's like life. I'm eternal. Wait a minute. I got to leave this body. You see people with COVID. Mommy, I don't want to go. Bye, honey. But I don't want to go. I got a life ahead of me. Say, lovey. So, these modes of nature are very, very tricky. The safest thing to do is to find out from a spiritual guide how to employ them in Krishna's service. What does that mean? How is that done? There's a science behind it. There is a formula behind it. And then it becomes, as you practice it, eventually you get up on that bike and you're riding by yourself. No training wheels are needed. You're doing great. You're riding. You got your hands off the handlebars. The air is flying by and you're a happy camper. That's our birthright. Claim it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.